Todd Gregson. I was one of Halton's friends from through high school, and yeah, we knew each other for about 10, 12 years.
And can you tell me, Todd, what kind of lad was he?
I think that the kind of adjectives that you'd use to describe Halton, very funny, always the light of the room. He was the kind of person that everyone always wanted to be around and that everyone wanted to spend time with, and he himself probably did a great job of making sure that he spent as much time with as many people as he did, and he had the impact in his short spell that on the amount of people that he did have that impact on, because there's so many people that loved Halton and that saw him as a friend.
Was quite charismatic.
Yeah, very charismatic, funny. You get on with anyone, Halton, really. He was a good person with good morals, loved his football, loved his sport, loved having a laugh, just a good typical young lad, really, that you could always depend on, that you could always talk to, he was always up for doing whatever people were doing, and yeah, just in general a great guy.
How many years did you know each other?
So we probably would have known each other for around 10 years from high school through till 2008, and we knew each other a little bit before. We used to play football together.
Who did
when
you
we were
play
kids. This was just like a training thing when we were 5 or 6 in not far from in Didsbury. So we used to go on a Saturday. Me, Adil, Halton, and I remember him from then, and then I met him properly when we went to high school together.
Was he quite a talented player, I believe? Or did you think he was, or what?
Halton was a good footballer. I'm not sure he's as good as everything that's been said, but he was good. He was much better than I am, but he was a very good footballer. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's as good as.
Did he play for Flixton?
Yeah, I think so. He played semi-professional football. He was. I remember in year 7 actually. He always wanted to be Nicholas Anelka because he was a big Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
And it must have been the manager of the year 7 team instantly said, "You're going to play centre half," and he wasn't too happy about it originally. But then he realised actually it was probably the best decision he could have made because he was cracking centre back. Yeah.
Can I ask you, what was the impact on you of his loss?
Yeah, me personally, I think that when the immediate impact or the long-term impact, well, I remember the day that it happened like it was yesterday, and the immediate days after. It was a Saturday, and I was at university with a couple of friends, and we were about to go out in Liverpool, and we received a phone call late 11 or something like that, and somebody said that Halton had been shot, and we didn't really. We thought it must have been a mistake because Halton's not kind of caught up in that lifestyle, and also it's not really the kind of thing you think happens very often in England. So we went back to Manchester, and he was in the. He'd been moved to Salford Hospital, I think, and we went there, and there was so many people in the waiting room waiting to hear some more information. 30 people, 40, 50 people maybe stayed overnight.
Including yourself?
Yeah, he was there with all his friends. I remember his family was upstairs, and I knew his sister quite well. His sister said, "Do you want to come up, sit in the family room for a little bit?" Watching the clock was going around really slowly, and then they asked if any immediate family members could leave, and then we were just standing outside the door, kind of looking through a glass panel like you've got on these doors here, and we just knew from the reaction of people in the room that it wasn't good news, and then they came out and told us, and and then the day after, I think we yeah, we went to the hospital the next day. Lots of Halton's friends, his family, and we were told that we could go in and see Halton in pairs because there were so many people whilst he was still on life support. And I remember Halton's father standing outside the doors and saying to us, "If just promise me something that you'll remember Halton, how he was, not what you're going to see when you go into the room." And we went in and said goodbye to him. And it was hard. It was really hard at the time, and I suppose what I did for a long time was convince myself it hadn't happened. That was my way of coping with it in the immediate time, but the impact that it's had on myself and his friends, family for years afterwards is, you can't even really measure it. His people have had children, his friends have had children that should be playing with Halton's children. He should be growing up into a job, he should be living the life that he was already years ahead of other people living. That's been taken from him. He won't get to experience those moments, and we won't get to experience them with him. So it does. I think about it every day. I think everybody else thinks about it every day. Even though it's 12 years down the line, you still can't help it. Yeah.
And finally, what would your message be as one of his best mates to the people we know are out there who could bring his killer to justice?
I think that when you see the effect that this has had on so many people, and there's the fact that there's still not closure for those people, is so important that hopefully we can gain that information and that's put forwards, and that it will just give that small bit of release for the family and friends that there has been justice. And hopefully also, if people can see the impact that it's had on us, they'll think twice about ever making a decision as to carrying a weapon of any kind, and making a small decision in an instant that can devastate family, friends, hundreds of people for the rest of all of their lives. So, yeah.
My name is Halton McCollin, senior to Halton Junior McCollin.
Back in 2010, me and you met Halton, and you said to me at the time, when I was asking you about your son's murder, quote, "It's fresh in my mind. You wake up with it, you go to sleep with it. That is the hardest part. I don't think I've ever actually grieved. It's not over." 12 years on, how do you feel now?
I don't think a lot's changed with that, really. You can't help but have it on your mind on a day-to-day. I cope with it a lot better. I'm not as anxious as I was 12 years ago. It has caused me quite a lot of stress over the years, but I think I'm able to deal with that. I mean, we've had counselling. I had my low points where my whole relationship with the family and my wife was falling apart, but we've managed to pull that back together. It has been a massive effect on not just myself, but the whole family and Halton's friends, but I'm in a better place. I love the idea of waking up and thinking of him, that will never stop. I love the idea of thinking of all the things that I can remember that makes me smile. That will never stop.
Back then, you said to me that you were, quote, "extremely optimistic that your son's killer would be found." Do you still retain that hope?
That's never in any way ever stopped. I feel every day that passes, and I had this conversation several days ago, every day that passes brings a step closer to it happening, and it will happen. I'm so confident at some point it will happen, whether it's tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, it will happen. I know it's been 12 years, and I know people have got information out there that they've sat on for the last 12 years. And at some point, I think someone will come forward, because I've got to have faith in the community. I've got to have faith in people. Because to lose a son, and to, for anyone to imagine what that feels like, and to leave someone without any hope of getting that bit of peace and getting that bit of justice, I do feel someone out there will come forward at some point.
Now, we know that there are witnesses who actually saw the gunman get out of their car on the car park at the back of Gorse Hill pub and then make their way to the takeaway where they shot Halton.
Yeah.
We're talking about young women in a car who saw this. What is your message to them?
I can fully understand it. We're speaking about young people who probably at the time was extremely afraid of the people that carried out that atrocity on the evening. And fear has a big factor in how people actually deal with that. I'm hoping over the years they've matured into adults with kids, and they can look back and think, what would it feel like if I'd lost one of my kids? And maybe that at this point they're strong enough, they're mature enough to understand the importance of people who carry out these atrocities having to pay the consequences, and also understand what it feels like if the position was reversed. Would they like someone to come forward and help them to find their peace and help them to find their justice? So I'm still hopeful that maybe at some point that will come about, or they will pass the information that they have on to someone else who could actually provide us those little elements that we need to solve the case that we've got going on at the moment.
And can you just explain to me probably the only positive thing that come out of this, which also sustains you?
Halton's always been a giver, and even in death he's continued to do that. And when Halton passed away, we were able to pass on several of his organs to other people who actually needed it. And I received a letter many years ago from a father who received one of his organs, who explained how wonderful it was to be able to take his children to the park and play with his kids. And that's something that stays with me every day, because I know he's still continuing to be who he was. He's still giving. It just makes me proud, even in death, that he can still provide something, some comfort and some happiness to someone else.
Do you feel in any way bitter that this series of coincidences resulted in you losing Halton?
Bitter. I was extremely bitter. I was extremely angry. It took me many years. I've dealt with the anguish. The anger is gone. I'm more focused now on hope, because the anger was destroying my relationship with people around me. I've managed to cope with that, where I'm in a better position now. I still need justice. I think when people carry out this type of atrocity and harm, kill people, there should be a consequence. They should pay for the actions. The hatred that I had for those people at the time is gone, but I still want them to face justice, because it's the right thing. It's nice when the anger goes, because you see things so much clearer. And I can use that energy that I have now to reflect on how nice a person, how lovely a person, and how lucky I was to have a son who got
20
to that
years.
age for them, 20 years. Yeah.
And finally, where was Halton laid to rest?
He's in Manchester's Severn Cemetery.
And how often do you visit?
That varies, because I have good moments where I can go down several times a week and just sit, have a bit of lunch, have a coffee.
So you go every week?
At one time I would go literally every week. I tend not to be able to do that as often now. I pick my moments, and we have family days where we'll go down with the kids and we'll have a bit of a tidy up, change the flowers and stuff. But it's guaranteed that at least twice, 3 times a month minimum, and we'll go down and have a bit of a tidy up and have a few words in private.
Yeah. And just finally, do you still believe that one day you will see the man who killed your lad convicted?
I'm extremely hopeful. I'm really hopeful that will happen. It keeps me going. It's not just about me, because I know Halton's had so many loved ones who want to see justice, and I'm optimistic, and I'll remain optimistic. Like I said, every day that passes is a day closer to that happening.
Martin Bottomley, Cold Case Unit, Greater Manchester Police.
Can you explain to us, Martin, the circumstances of this murder, which occurred on January the 19th, 2008?
Yes, Halton had been at work that day. He held down a regular job. He was arranged to meet his dad that evening, actually, but he changed his plans and met 3 friends. And they decided to go to the China Garden takeaway on Chester Road in Stretford for some food. They went into the takeaway and started to order the food. And then 2 men came into the takeaway, and one of them discharged 3 shots with a gun, and obviously one of them hit Halton in the head, and sadly he died 3 days later in hospital.
And as we understand it, this is a tragic case of mistaken identity.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about that whatsoever. I didn't know Halton personally, obviously, but from what I know about him now, from his dad, his mum, his friends, he was a really nice guy. He was a fantastic amateur footballer, held down a decent job, never been in trouble with the police. There was everything to live for. And we believe that he was killed by mistake. We believe that the intended target was a friend of the guys that Halton was with, and they mistook the person they wanted to shoot for Halton.
Is this partially because he had quite a close physical resemblance to the man they were after?
He did look like the man they were after, yes, and of course he associated with some of the other man's friends, but let me make it clear, Halton was in no way associated to any gangs or any violence or anything like that.
And in 2010, 3 men were arrested on conspiracy to commit murder in connection with this case. What's happened to them, and where are we up to now in terms of the investigation?
Well, we didn't have sufficient evidence to charge them with murder or conspiracy to murder at the time, but we certainly had enough evidence to arrest them on suspicion thereof, because we had lots of intelligence about who was responsible. But what we didn't have was a witness who would come forward and make a statement and go to court, which would have allowed us to charge them with those offences.
So the key to this case is someone coming forward and giving you a statement as to what they know or what they saw on the night?
Absolutely, yes. It's 12 years ago now. People's allegiances will have changed. Some people who know about Halton's murder may have witnessed it, may know who's responsible, might want to clear the conscience, and that's what they should do. They should contact Crime Stoppers or the police and give us that vital information, make a statement, and give Halton's family some peace.
And do GMP remain as determined as they were 12 years ago to solve this case? Are you still committed?
Absolutely. This case will never ever be closed until we find out who's responsible and get the evidence to charge somebody with Halton's murder. And I would say there's a £50,000 reward still open for information leading to the arrest and conviction of these killers.
Thank you.